Discover the next level in entertainment. Sky Cable's Evo Box is the latest product that lets you access over 190 channels, built-in streaming apps, and more than 5,000 downloadable apps and games. Get yours now at mysky.com.ph/skyevo or visit the Sky Zones in Ayala Center and Gaisano Grand Mall, Lapu-Lapu.
Hello there, I'm Jobert Oka. Today we speak with Dr. Mary Jean Loreche, the Chief Pathologist and Spokesperson of the Department of Health in Region 7. Doc, thank you very much for joining us. Happy Women's Month and welcome to Power Women.
Thank you so much, Jobert, for inviting me. And it's truly an honor and a privilege also.
Of course, because everyone knows that you are one of the leaders in our continuing fight here in Region 7, in our continuing fight against the coronavirus. I would like to know, I'm very interested to know, Doc, first and foremost, what's your mindset like? Because especially in the situation where and when everybody is depending on every decision you make together with the other experts.
Well, it's kind of humbling, first of all. But secondly, the pressure is too much also. That's the reason why every day when I wake up, I always seek guidance from above. It's no joke to be, asked your thoughts, and then the leaders will follow what you have given them, or maybe, guided them in terms of protocols. So it really is very important that your mindset is there. You have to look at it in a holistic way. It has to be science-based, and at the same time has to be logical.
Mm-hmm. For the information, additional knowledge to those who might not be familiar, Doc, what exactly does pathology cover?
Pathology is one of those specialties in medicine that really deals about diseases. So you want to know, Jobert, kung bakit ikaw ay may ganitong sakit. So that's me who will be guiding you and telling you bakit ganon yung sakit mo. Kung malaki yung puso mo at hindi siya magpa-function ng maayos, meron tayong tinatawag na pathology or causes of it, no? Pero syempre, sometimes they tease us, no? The other specialists will tease us that we are actually the judge, no? Kami ang judge, ang huwes palagi, no? Kasi nga kami yung nagbibigay ng final verdict on an individual status of health. Lalong-lalo na pag ikaw ay namatay 6 feet below the ground, malalaman yung doktor kung ano yung iyong sakit, no? When we give you the diagnosis.
Okay, Doc, I'd like also to know, last year, when we first heard about the coronavirus, actually 2019 pa, no? When we learned about the existence of a new virus in Wuhan, China, what was your mindset like as a pathologist, knowing your expertise and your experience?
Yeah, when the first case that we had in January, I think, no, when we started to have this, I was still part of one private institution as an administrator of that hospital. The very first thing that I did, Jobert, was, hey, we have to set up infection control measures. We need to set up, divisions in the hospital so that we would be able to cohort patients, because I knew that something big's gonna come. And especially, we are in the tourist destination. So, people traveling here and there. So we want to make sure that hindi mahalo yung mga pasyente natin. So my mindset to really find a way by which I would be able to cohort patients. I would be able to place those safely who are non-COVID if they do get Wuhan virus, and those that has it, so that they would be controlled in that particular area.
Mm-hmm. Was it difficult to convince people? No one actually really understood what the virus was about, and the idea of a pandemic was still so strange to many at that point.
That's a very good question, Jobert. Looking back, and even until now, one of the major challenges that I have and I am faced with is convincing even the other specialists to believe in what you believe in. For example, the testing modality. Yan talaga ang malaking away nung araw eh. If you read back to March, April, May of last year, when we were already preparing for the seroprevalence, doing the antibody testing and the like, no, there was really such a huge resistance to this from our other specialist societies, no. Kasi nga naman, maraming agam-agam about the testing itself. And me as a specialist for testing, I really had to be able to, put into the proper perspective the various test methods na meron tayo, na dapat kung anong meron tayo sa mga kamay natin, kailangan gamitin natin yan because at the end of the day, you interpret one test result relative to another test result. There is no ultimate testing for COVID and infectious diseases for that matter. Everything has evolved, will continue to evolve, and you need to be able to cope up with this evolution of what is happening around you.
Doc, what keeps you going every day? Because you've been the face, aside from regional director, since the very beginning. April last year until today, and you've been very active. Never kang nawala sa eksena. Almost every day giving press conferences and updates. What keeps you going?
Yeah, I think my faith and my belief also that, God is in control. Secondly, I believe in service. So these are difficult times. So we are called to serve, meaning to say this is not the time for you to bulk on a challenge that is given to you. The faith and trust, especially the confidence of our leaders here in Region 7, believing that what I say is, kumbaga, siya yung tama. So kailangan talagang panindigan mo yon. So that really keeps me going.
Wow. All right. What got you interested in medicine in the first place, Doc?
Well, it was a childhood dream, as young as 5 years old, playing with my toys and being alone in the province with my grandparents, to be able to read those books on medicine, because I had an uncle who was a doctor at the time, and he left all his books in the house, and I had no playmate at all. So I would be opening those books, at the age of 5, and I was telling myself, yeah, I want to be a doctor. And true enough, I had to live that dream, and I am a doctor.
But pathology, where did it come in?
I was, after medicine, graduating from medicine, from the College of Medicine, I decided to go to the bundoks, to the province. Feel my way, which specialty would suit me best. And I saw, treating patients who are, with dengue, with a platelet count of only 50,000, about to die. And you have to be able to help out, revive that individual as the only doctor in that province where, Jobert, kung lalakarin mo papunta sa pinakamalapit na ospital, it will take you half a day. Kung lalakarin mo talaga. That's how it was at that time in the 1980s, late 80s. So I said to myself, maybe it's time for me to go into pathology so that I would be able to set up all these laboratories. I would be able to elevate the practice and help people, the doctors in their diagnosis na talagang maibigay yung tama para sa kanilang mga pasyente. Remember that other specialists, our colleagues, rely on the results that we give out. For example, you give a sugar of 200 na hindi naman tama, ma-alarm yung doktor kasi diabetic pala yon. O kaya naman, nag-diagnose ako ng cancer sa isang pasyente na hindi naman pala cancer, di ba? So kailangan tamang-tama yung ibibigay mo para sa kanila. But there's a funny story about this. You know that way back then, my family relatives were telling me and my friends, magiging doktor ka sa patay? Patay lang ba talaga ang alagaan mo? It was so unpopular at the time, And then true enough, I was in the morgue doing autopsies. I was dissecting mga patay because I had to, disease. Sabi nga dito, very timely, no? Sabi nga, the dead teaches the living. So yun yung palaging nasa isip ko eh. Kaya noon yun, it was a great challenge for me. My family, my friends couldn't even understand why I chose pathology. But then look and behold, ngayong time natin na ito, pathology is at the forefront of it.
That's right. How does that feel, Doc?
It makes me feel again humbled because at the end of the day, it teaches me something, a lesson whereby you know, things happen for a reason. You are placed in a situation whereby God has really prepared for you to be there particular time so you can help mankind.
By the way, Doc, in here in Cebu City, still being challenged by the coronavirus, no, and even other LGUs in Cebu Island. What's your forecast for us? Because New Year, people would want to, revive the economy. The very good news is that our first batch of vaccines have arrived, and local government units are also starting to plan or even planning their own vaccination programs. What's your forecast like for Cebu?
Okay, so I always say this, no, even to our leaders, no, na we are right now on the second wave of our cases, no. Nung sobrang akyat na ating mga kaso, we've been there already. And I always tell our media partners when they ask me, Doc, hindi pa ba yan bababa yung mga kaso? I said, no, wait until mid-March. Mid-March, when we will start to have an equilibration of our cases, no. So with the aggressiveness of our testing, of our contact tracing, our operation centers. So lahat yan will be, put in place. And then by mid-March, hopefully I am not wrong this time. I haven't been wrong the past year already in the way I've been analyzing events here. So I really look forward that by mid-March, our cases will start to level off and slowly go down. And again, this will involve, the participation of everyone, meaning to say, kailangan talaga sundin natin ating public health. Mga bakuna natin, kahit kakapiranggot pa lang ito, kailangan magpabakuna talaga tayo.
Of course, it's going to be an everyday battle, Doc, no? Until we get to control everything, the situation in general. But when you are faced with a fork on the road, when your decisions affect many others, the people around you, what do you take into consideration in making a decision, Doc?
I always go by this mantra in life that what you do will impact the life of others. And so for you to come up with a very good decision so that it will benefit more than just yourself, you have to put into the mindset that service has to be right there at the middle of it. When service is your guiding principle, the rightness of what you do will follow. And it is, you have to be unafraid. Feel that balance of being fearless in, trying to put out what you think and you believe in is right and correct. So as a doctor, I believe that science, logic has to go together. Sometimes in the public health, you fail, for other specialties. Sometimes you are, as a clinician, you look at the totality of the patient. But when you're placed in a public health setting, you look at the totality of that patient and the impact that he or she will have to the community at large.
Mm-hmm. That's a very nice message. Doc, balikan natin konti yung journey mo as a doctor. The medical profession itself is very competitive. They say that it's still largely male-dominated, particularly in the 80s and 90s, Guru, no? How was it like for you? Was gender ever an issue in your journey in medicine?
No, it has never been an issue in medical school. I know that, all my classmates and friends there, are dominated by males, but it was never an issue amongst us, no? Parang magkakapatid lang kami niyan na wala, sama-sama, tulog, kain, sa hirap at ginhawa. When I was also practicing already, immediately after my training, I answered the call to serve another region, because at the time they did not have a working both anatomic clinical pathologist. So I accepted the challenge and
Where was this?
In Region 10.
Okay.
I was in Region 10 for quite some time, and then I started my practice there immediately from my practice in Manila after my finishing all my studies there. I was the only lady pathologist at the time there, and all my colleagues there were already in the 60s and 70s, no? So, but it was never an issue also. Or maybe because really in our practice, para bang tulungan lang siya. Kaya hindi siya naging issue na babae ka, kaya hindi ka mas magaling. O kaya naman ay lalaki ka, mas magaling ka. And also one thing here, Jobart, is security of my colleagues with me na hindi ko naman ipamumukha sa kanila na mas magaling ako, di ba? Para bang, okay lang yan. Tulungan lang tayo.
Right, right. Doc, by the way, it is said that when you invest in women, you invest in the world or your communities. Do you agree with this one?
Oh, definitely, definitely. Tingnan mo naman yung mga women leaders natin nitong pandemic na to, Jobart. Sino ba ang countries who survived this pandemic faster and who was able to implement, the measures necessary? Hindi ba women leaders, namely Taiwan, di ba? And Germany, si Merkel. So lahat yan sila, I think, today in this pandemic, there is one message for all of us. Kumbaga, ang babae at ang lalaki, co-equal lang yan sila. Meron lang ding magagandang traits ang isang babae in terms of acting upon a pandemic or a crisis compared to a male, no? Tanggapin na natin yan na masyadong matatalino and objective ang lalaki. Ganyan sila no? Box team yung kanilang hindi yung focus nila grabe talaga. But women kasi, has this capacity to have that instinct and intuition to be able to put together and look at it in a holistic view.
Nice, nice message. Doc, has the world really made it easier for women these days?
That's kind of a difficult question. We still
Considering
hear...
that you also mentioned earlier the nations that were able to respond to the coronavirus quite effectively are led by women. And you, as an example of one of the leaders in this fight against the coronavirus.
Siguro we are blessed lang, no? We are given the opportunity to shine. Sometimes kasi when you're given that opportunity, remember that the pandemic really brought the best and worst in us.
Right.
Yun yung masasabi ko. Yeah, it showcased our strengths and our weaknesses. And so maybe I am just one of those who's given that opportunity to showcase my strength more than... Pero we do have some women, no, na alam naman natin na may struggling also in their lives, whether in their homes or in their workplaces, no. Kaya mahalaga yung programa ninyo, itong Empowering Women, kasi I think it will serve to inspire women out there na hindi naman kailangan nasa top seed tayo. In our own very small ways, no, even sa loob ng pamamahay natin, we can actually shine and be the shining angels there.
Speaking of inspiration, Doc, what's your message to the medical practitioners who simply surrendered at the height of the pandemic kasi hindi na talaga kaya, who felt that the efforts are not enough, not only the physical limitations, but the efforts are not enough, surrendered to the situation? What's your message to those colleagues of yours in the medical profession?
Would say this, no, na tayo, we have that Hippocratic oath, no, Hippocrate oath. Alam naman natin na nung tayo ay maging doktor, our call is to serve, to save lives. So it's understandable that in this pandemic, there are people who must have had seen enough of this, particularly those who are in direct care of the patients. Sometimes, nakakalungkot din kasi kung palagi yan na lang araw-araw ang nakikita mo and there is no glimmer of hope. Let me give an example to this, Jobart. As a practicing pathologist, sometimes when I see 50 cases in a day, 10 of them turns out to be cancer, I stop reading my slides, and then I take a day off because I have to, unwind, because I feel for the patients who will be receiving such a diagnosis. So siguro yan yung masasabi ko sa aking mga colleagues na take a breather. At the end of the day, kailangan lang naman natin yun eh. We are not superheroes na hindi tayo affected with what's going on. But then we have to move forward because that is our oath to save a life eh. So yung mga moments na ganyan, meron din naman ako niyan eh. Meron tayong lahat niyan. Let us take a breather, pause, and then rethink, re-strategize, re-energize tayo.
Just to put this particular conversation into context, Doc, we're not saying na they simply just gave up, no? There are just some of us who are not able to respond to situations as bravely or as strongly as others, like yourself, who's still standing very strong despite a very huge fight last year. So it's very nice to hear those words from you. Hopefully the others will be able to come back and provide service once again to the people. Your message, Doc, to the young women and to the girls who might want to follow in your footsteps, because I'm sure that your name will be enshrined in the in the stories as regards the coronavirus pandemic.
Yes, alam mo, Jobert, how do I put it? It is truly a humbling experience that I have, the journey that I had to go through with this pandemic. But I am very much honored to be called to serve. So sa mga kababaihan, mga bata, lalo na yung may mga dreams pa sa kanilang mga buhay, and this pandemic is here, apparently parang nakakalungkot tingnan na kayo, you wouldn't be able to, enjoy life the way you should be enjoying. Na wala kayo sa classroom, wala kayo pwedeng maglaro ng patintero kagaya ng ginagawa namin nung araw, no? So there are limitations, but then remember this, a pandemic only comes once in a lifetime. For us to be able to serve in this time with our best, then that is already a reflection of our faith in the higher being, and that is God. Third, whatever ambitions you have, kayang-kaya mo yan abutin. There is nothing that can stop you from achieving your goal. Tenacity, resilience, perseverance, yan lang ang kailangan natin. So kahit saan ka mang sulok ngayon, kahit na ikaw sabihin natin ay walang pera o kaya sa mahirap na pamilya, kaya naman may kapansanan ka, nothing can stop you from achieving your dreams. Each one of us can achieve, provided that we think about it. So there is that paradigm shift. Kung gugustuhin mo, makakaya mo talaga siya.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mary Jean Loreche, and spokesperson of the Department of Health here in Region 7. Doc, happy International Women's Month, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is Power Women Season 4.